Today we're reviewing every single inaccuracy in a Marvel trailer. No, not inaccuracies. Today, I'm gonna talk about things in trailers that didn't happen that make me mad. You ever watched a Marvel movie and realized it was missing a scene from the trailer? I have, for about 20 years now, and some of them have me really upset. Watch the whole video because the last one is the absolute worst. I'd of course prefer you watch my whole video, help me with my channel, but I'm not lying or anything. The last one is actually the absolute worst, and it makes me mad to this day. We'll start with the small instances, and then we'll get to the much worse ones. In Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man says, "You guys aren't the real Avengers. I can tell Hulk gives it away."
You guys aren't the real Avengers. I can tell Hulk gives it away.
That is such a good Spider-Man-like joke, and they just cut it for no reason. It was only like 2 extra seconds, and they just cut it out. In the Avengers Endgame trailer, we see Black Widow practicing in a shooting range, and in the final movie, this scene is not in it at all. Good. Spider-Man Far From Home, do you guys like when Peter has his normal suit? Oh well. When Ant-Man was coming out in 2015, they non-stop spammed the final scene of Scott talking with Sam, where he says, "Ant-Man," and Scott goes, "Iron Man was taken," and it drove me crazy as a kid, because it would play over and over non-stop all the time on Cartoon Network, and then the movie came out and that line did not exist. This one is kind of the opposite. Do you... Like, we've all seen Thor Ragnarok, right? If you're watching a video about Marvel trailers, you've probably seen Thor Ragnarok. It's one of the best Marvel movies people rate it, right? Go watch that trailer. It looks terrible. You know how when you were a kid and your dad showed you a movie, he would probably quote it, like, here's one, Star Wars. You know, he would say, "I am your father." You know, in the future, we'll probably quote Thanos when he says, "But this does put a smile on my face."
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face.
That's not in the movie. That is like the most popular quote from Thanos, and it's only in the trailer for the movie. It does not happen in the movie, not even close. When the Ant-Man and the Wasp was coming out, in the trailer, we saw Scott come out of the water and go after welding goggles, and he yelled, "Me eat people!"
Me eat people!
Sorry, I'm messing around.
That was like the funniest thing in the world to me when I was younger. That's just not in the movie. This is kind of insignificant, but I'm a really big Doctor Strange fan, especially of his villains and the comics and stuff, and in the trailer for Multiverse of Madness, Sinister Strange says,
Things just got out of hand.
and I thought that was really cool. Oh well, not in it! In The Wolverine, which takes place primarily in Japan, with lots of ceremonies, traditions, and a large focus on the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there's a scene of Buddhists praying in the trailer. With all this tradition and death, yeah, we will probably see at least one instance of Buddhism or Shintoism, right? The most predominant religions in Japan. This scene never happens. Not once. We don't even see one temple in the background, despite the Silver Samurai at the very beginning of the movie preparing to commit seppuku, which, though not directly religious, is tied to the Bushido Code and samurai's honor. Something that very much has roots in their religion. That's like if a movie took place in the swamps of Louisiana and you didn't see one church. That's how... In The Amazing Spider-Man 2, did you think it kind of odd, more so, how Harry Osborn more or less just showed up at the end? Like, he does have scenes, and they do talk sometimes, but there's not a lot of inclusion, and then he just comes in and he's the new Green Goblin. Well, in the trailer, he and Peter talk several times. None of these scenes are in the movie, like none of these casual interactions, but if they are, it is heavily cut down from what clearly looked like maybe a 5-minute conversation to 2 seconds. The lines of people in X-Men trailers clearly at times showed their fight against prejudice, which is the entire point of the X-Men characters and their story. And if you think otherwise, not only should the lines of people in X-Men trailers clearly at times showed their fights against prejudice in X-Men Last Stand, on principle, I can't negotiate with these people.
On principle, I can't negotiate with these people. Well, then you know what needs to be done.
We have plenty of lines akin to these in these X-Men movies and others, but I think those in particular were very important, and they are just not in the movies at all. Here's one I really hated, and it's a little long-winded, but I gotta explain this. In the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer in 2014, when it came out, I was 12 years old, and it was playing constantly on, like, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network and stuff, including this one scene. In the Guardians of the Galaxy trailer, we get a scene of topless Gamora from behind, like clearly she's not wearing any clothes. I'm not mad that we didn't get to see Gamora's breasts. What I'm mad about is two other things. Because when it came out, I was 12, and all any other 12-year-old boy wanted to talk about when that trailer was new was, oh yeah, we're gonna go to the theater like adults, and we're gonna see Gamora's boobies, yeah. And for some reason, kids just like to lie about that stuff, and I knew the movie was PG-13, and we weren't even gonna get side boob and that, so it was annoying for like 6 months to hear all of them just say like, yeah, I'm gonna see boobs. No, you're not, dude. The movie's PG-13. You will never see Gamora's breasts. I don't know what you're talking about. But aside from that, what was really annoying was Nebula and Gamora growing up were always made to fight each other, constantly. And any time Nebula lost, a part of her was replaced by her father Thanos. Take a look at Nebula. Now look at Gamora. Why is the skin on her back and arms as smooth as a baby's ass? I don't even see a tricep there, much less any scars. Are you saying that out of like 20 years of sibling rivalry, she never got cut once? She's immune? It's a no-hit run? That was annoying. This lady is a warrior princess, daughter of Thanos, and she doesn't have one burn mark on her back. Hulk 2003 is the best Hulk, and it is not remotely close. Yeah, the trailer just doesn't exist. Anything you saw in the trailer is not in the movie. Not even the title card is the same. In the Dark Phoenix trailer, I'm just kidding, no one cares about Dark Phoenix. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about stuff that, like, is continuity issues, or stuff that hyped up comic book fans just to not happen later on. For example, there's a shot in the Thor trailer where Loki takes Odin's scepter, which is his most iconic weapon, even over a decade later. And he has this face of astonishment. He doesn't even have the ego of Loki yet, but like, yes, this is the one. It's his Mjolnir. This shot is not in the movie. Eventually he just has it, and no one regards it. Just in the next scene that he's in, he's holding the scepter, and no one says anything. In Fan 4-Stick, there was a scene of Ben Grimm's evolution as he broke out of the rocks that he was sealed in, which revealed his, the Thing body, how he's covered in rocks. Never happened. He just shows up. Oh, wow, something's wrong with Ben. Then he's there. It's clearly a scene of, like, leaving the cocoon, and that just doesn't happen. If you're anything like me, and you're a big War Machine fan, you know that the average person will, of course, just prefer Tony Stark, Iron Man, over War Machine. But me personally, I really like him. And with all these big superhero characters, I was still really excited to see Rhodey in Avengers Endgame, and it was so cool seeing his suit because it looked like a medium armor halfway between the normal suit and the Hulkbuster. The dude was huge. I couldn't wait to see War Machine in Avengers Endgame fighting alongside Tony, which I didn't know at the time, for the last time. That was really cool. Movie comes out, he is wearing the Iron Patriot for the entire runtime. Yeah, it's still him, but I wanted the gray and red War Machine suit. It is just Iron Patriot for the whole movie. We all know this one, Hulk wasn't in Infinity War. And he basically wasn't in Endgame either. I'm totally fine with that though, and it's cool we never saw the real Hulk again. Ooh, for comic book readers, here's a really bad one. In The Winter Soldier, the 2014 trailer, we saw a helicarrier numbered 42. In the comics of Civil War, which the movie would only come out 2 years later, superheroes who do not abide by the new laws are held in Prison 42. In the movie, they just remove the numbers from the helicarrier. This scene is not in there. And here is the biggest one, Morbius. There is a scene in the trailer. Okay, No Way Home came out in 2021, and we saw Tobey and Andrew return as Spider-Man, at least just temporarily. So Morbius came out in 2022, and in the trailer, we saw a scene of Morbius walking through an alleyway, like hiding his identity, escaping, and clearly had a prison jumpsuit on. And behind him, spray-painted graffiti on the wall of the alleyway, is Spider-Man, and over him is written the word murderer. Oh, that ain't so bad. It's Tobey Maguire. It's Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. This scene does not exist. And I was the only person online that was mad about this in 2022. The absolute audacity for Sony to add that. So, well, of course, it's not like I wanted Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to be permanently tied to Morbius. Oh yeah, Jared Leto's in the same universe as Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. No, of course not. But it's just that, how could they dangle that character in front of our faces to begin with? And what really made me mad was I went online to be like, wow, that's crazy, right guys? No one was talking about that. Not a single person online I ever saw mention that scene. There you go. That's the list. That's the whole thing. I don't know, it was just on my mind. I just saw someone online say, like, it's really crazy that they just recolored War Machine to be Iron Patriot, and that reminded me how mad I was about all this, so I just had to make a video this month about it. There you go. Okay, thank you. If you liked it, subscribe. I don't know, maybe I'll talk about superheroes again in the future. Who knows?